Happy Wednesday to everybody. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday. I think it's November 18th, if my dates are correct. Uh, 1 week from today, of course, is Thanksgiving, so we're hitting into that holiday season. So hopefully you have friends and family that you can spend time with, whether that's traveling or locally, I'm not sure. Fortunately for me, all my family is close by within a 45-minute drive, so I don't have to deal with any planes or trains or automobiles. Well, I do my automobile, but not my planes and my trains. So not doing Steve Martin, John Candy, that's for sure. All right, so we're at Fenway Park here on this June 1st, 1987. Game 337 in the replay. Fenway Park, very friendly to hitters. Singles 19 for lefties, 15 for righties. Home runs 7 for lefties, 10 for righties. Minnesota Twins managed by Tom Kelly against John McNamara's Boston Red Sox. Twins coming to the game 23-26. Boston comes in 18-31. However, it is a stellar pitching matchup between Roger Clemens and Frank Viola. Clemens is 4-3 on the replay. Viola is 5-2. Got the game from the computer as usual. Got her dice. Clemens on the real season in 87 was 20-9 with a 297 earned run average. He had a very slow start coming. It was holding out in 87. He had a very slow start in the replay coming back, but now he's finally getting to the point where he's started to pitch more like Roger Clemens. So I expect that to happen again today. Although the Twins do have a pretty decent lineup. So on the replay, if you look at Roger Clemens' complete numbers, he's 4-3, but his ERA is 4.62. So I expect that to get lower and lower with each start. 78 innings pitched, 82 hits, 26 walks, and 67 strikeouts. Dan Gladden is your leadoff guy. Hello, Dan. Hello, Tribe fan. Good to Tim. Good to see you. Yes, Dan, coffee is right here. It's like the American Express card. I'm not going to leave home without it, so got to have it. And the tradition, it's a tradition. I didn't even think about it, but I just kind of started it yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, it was my kind of a corny tradition I just started. Instead of the ceremonial first pitch, we have the ceremonial first sip before the first pitch is thrown. And as Jeff would say, that's good coffee. So the ceremonial first sip is now out of the way, and we can get down to business. Dan Gladden hitting 214 on the replay, 3 homers, 12 driven in. Kind of off to a slow start, hitting 249 real world. Hello, Chuck. A 2-7, and that's a strikeout right out of the gate. Clemens gets the K on Dan Gladden. One away, and here comes Greg Gagne, shortstop. Gagne is actually leading the Twins in hitting, and if you saw my recap show, what I did on the computer with the stats after the month of May, if you remember the Twins, Gagne was leading the league or leading the team in hitting, which he is at 361. 3 homers, 18 driven in. He only hit 265 real world, so he's really had some good rolls in this replay. 210, but not this time. He grounds it to third, and Wade Boggs all over it. Quickly 2 away. 2 down for Kirby Puckett. Puckett hitting 325 on the replay, 8 homers, 26 driven in, hit 332 in real world. It's a 210 for Puckett. That's a ballpark single check, which usually fares well for Fenway Park. That's a 15, that's a 10, so Fenway Park gives up the base hit, which maybe makes what Roger Clemens did even more amazing, the fact he pitched half his games in Fenway Park. And if he'd have pitched in Dodger Stadium all his career, what kind of numbers he'd have. And if he got to face pitch in the National League, face the pitcher, 1 every 9 at bats instead of a DH. All right, Kirby Puckett. Let's look at the pitcher-catcher hold. Clemens is a 0. He's a +1, but Gedman's a -1, so it's a net 0. So Puckett, if he gets the lead, will be a 1-13. 4, 5, or 6 to get the lead. He'll try it. Doesn't get the lead, so it doesn't matter. Here's Kent Hrbek. Hrbek on the replay hitting 310, 14 homers, 40 driven in. On the real season, he hit 285. But again, as I chronicled in the video, he has some severe trouble against the lefties, but right now he's facing a righty. That's a 3-10, and that's going to be a walk. So Herbeck will draw the 2-out walk on Clemens. And all of a sudden now first and second with 2 outs after the first 2 were easily out. And here's the G-man, Gary Gaetti. Gaetti's hitting 244 on the replay, 13 homers, 45 driven in. He had 257 in the real season. Gaetti in the clutch. In the clutch will gain 2 hits here, 3-9 and 3-10. 2-6 though is going to be a ground ball to third and easy play for Mr. Boggs, and that will take care of the Twins here in the first inning. They get a walk and a single, but nothing else to cause any damage. Go to the bottom of the first. It is the Twins nothing, and the Red Sox coming to bat. And they will be facing the left-hander Frank Viola. Viola on the real season, 17-10 with a 290 earned run average. On the replay, he is 5-2 with a 2.46 earned run average. So his earned run, he's one of the top 5 in the league in ERA. 88 innings pitched, only 60 hits, 30 walks and 59 strikeouts. So his record, quite frankly, could be better if he had better run support because he has really pitched well. All right, here's Ellis Burks. He's going to lead it off. He's hitting 229 on the replay, 5 homers, 12 driven in. He had 272 real world. So 4-6, and that's going to be a 1-16 base hit. And that's exactly what we have. Ellis Burks, a leadoff single. See if he can get the lead. Viola is a -3, though. He's a -5. So even the +2 from Salas is going to make it a -3. So it'd be a 1-14 if he got the lead. So they're going to try to get the lead, 5 or a 6. He gets the 5, he's going to go. 19 being held as a 17, -3 is a 14. 1-14, the T rating on Salas is only a 2. And that's a 15. He got thrown out. How about that? Ellis Burks is out of there. Caught stealing. As Lombardozzi puts on the tag. So Viola racing that along with Salas. And here's Marty Barrett. He's hitting 299 on the replay. No homers, 8 driven in. He at 293 real world. It's 1-4 against the lefty is a split chance. 1-5 is a single. That's going to be a line out. And that is line out number 1. I'm going to circle these line outs because we had a discussion before about whether there were too many line outs or not. I think the last game yesterday was 4 line outs, but we've had some as many as 7. So don't know what the median or what the, sweet spot is for that. Here's Wade Boggs hitting 342, 9 homers, 23 driven in. He had 363 real world. That's a 5-8. Struck him out. And that's going to end the inning. And that's the problem with Stratomatic right there. That's one of the 50-50 problems. And maybe I need to come up with a home brew to fix it. I don't know. Wade Boggs, in 551 at-bats in real world, struck out 48 times. This was his 194th at-bat and already has struck out 22 times. So he's almost halfway there with a third of his at-bats. So he's definitely ahead of he's on pace to strike out about 70 times. So I don't know if I need to do a home brew for that. Roll a D20 and see or check the D20 and see if it's a certain range and then count it as a 2-strike count and have him bat again. I don't know. Or either just change the out, not have him bat again, but change the strikeout to be, a fly out or something. I don't know. But we'll see. If it gets to be extreme, then I'll come up with something. Right now, I'll leave it as is. But anyway, he strikes out, and that ends the inning. So at the end of 1, no score from Fenway Park. But that is something I'm going to be taking a look at because that is one of the bugaboos of the 50-50 system is you get a guy who strikes out, who doesn't strike out a lot, but gets a lot of strikeouts put to his record based on the pitcher, not him. Where he would have, fouled that off or something. Like Ted Williams probably wouldn't strike out a lot, but in Strat, he probably would. 50% of his bats are going to come against the pitcher card, so he has no control over that. So, I mean, I don't mind the 50-50 system. This is just one of the small idiosyncrasies that maybe cause a chink in the armor. So, I don't know. Hello, Jeffrey. Better late than never. And, of course, got our hot coffee right here. And you missed it. I had the ceremonial. Now, I don't think you were here yesterday at all when I mentioned this, but instead of doing ceremonial first pitch, I do a ceremonial first sip before the first die roll of the game. That's my new tradition. I just started it yesterday. Ceremonial first sip. All right. Roy Smalley, the designated hitter, will lead things off for Minnesota. He's hitting 269 on the replay, 2 homers, 17 driven in. He hit 275 real world. Switch hitter, batting left-handed. That's a 6-7. That's a ground ball to short. We're looking at Spike Owen. Spike Owen is a 3E17. 3 and 16, he'll get to that easily. E17 and a 14 may not be quite as good. E17, there's a 15, 16, and 17, but no 14. So Spike Owen is able to make the play, and there's one away. One down, and here's Bernansky, right fielder. And Bernansky's hitting 278 on the replay, 7 homers, 20 driven in. He hit 259 real world. 5-11, and that's a ballpark single again. And again, Fenway Park's going to give it up. So both hits allowed by Roger Clemens have been Fenway singles. Bernansky will hold. He will not try anything. They will hold him on because he has an asterisk there, but he won't try to get a lead or anything like that. Here's Steve Lombard. I'm sorry, it should be Mark Salas. Where does Steve Lombardozzi come from? I need Mark Salas. Did I not put Mark Salas in the lineup? That's kind of weird. Sure did. I left him right here in the bench area. So Mark Salas is actually your next batter. He is the catcher in this game. Mark Salas. Salas on the replay only hitting a $162 and 37 at bats. So homer and 6 driven in. He at 250 real world. Clemens to Salas. 212 for Salas. Ground ball third base B, so it's a fielder's choice. They get the lead runner at second, but Salas somehow or another, I guess the ball was hit so slowly they could not turn the double play. Because normally you would think as slow as Salas is, they would have done that, but must have been a cue shot off the bat that didn't have enough juice on it. So here's Lombardozzi, finally, in his rightful spot. Lombardozzi hitting 287, 2 homers, 15 driven in. He hit 238 real world. Salas at first, of course, is not being held. That's a 2-8, and that's going to be a line out to second base. So it's our second line out of the game. And that's going to do it for the Minnesota Twins here in the second inning. We go to the bottom of the second, still no score from Fenway Park. Tomorrow's game will emanate from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore to be the Oakland A's against the Baltimore Orioles. Moose Haas against Scott McGregor. And then on Friday, we have Kansas City at Milwaukee. Not sure the pitching matchup on that one off the top of my head. I think it's Lee Brand against Birkbeck, but don't quote me on it. But that will be the final game on Friday. And then, of course, on Saturday, we have the National League game of the day. It'll be the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves from Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta. Rick Russell against Rick Mailer. That'll be on Saturday. So here's Jim Rice, left fielder. Rice hitting 305 on the replay, 4 homers, 22 driven in. He at 277 real world. 2-6, and that's a ground ball to short. Gagne will take care of it. On away. Good morning, Kathy. Yes, I have my coffee right here. So be ready, folks, for the top of the third for first of the trivia questions. Get your thinking caps on. Here's Don Baylor hitting 237, 5 homers, 22 driven in. He hit 245 real world. 6-9, and that's a fly to center field. Puckett camped under it, 2 down. And that'll bring us to Dwight Evans, hitting 321 on the replay, 7 homers, 31 driven in. He hit 305 real world. 6-5, and that's a fly to center again. Puckett again stationed under it, and no problem. And even though we're in a hitter-friendly Fenway Park, both pitchers are doing what I thought they might do, and that's control the offense. It's no score after 2. And now if you'll turn your attention to the chat box and see what the trivia question is and see if we can figure it out without any hints while Roger Clemens takes his warm-up tosses. When Al Grabowski pitched, this team unusually had a 300 hitter in every batting slot. What team? Al Grabowski pitched. This team usually had a 300 hitter in every batting slot. I guess Grabowski was a 300 hitter, so that gave every team a 300 hitter. But I don't even know who Al Grabowski is. Jeff has guessed the Cardinals. I don't even know if we're talking 60s, 40s, 50s. I have no idea what we're talking. I know it's not 70s or 80s because I would have heard of Grabowski if it was in the 70s or 80s. So he has to be in the 50s or the 40s probably. And Jeff got it. Cool. What year was that, Kathy? Was that in the 50s? Maybe early 60s? 1930. Wow, we're going way back. No wonder I didn't know that. 1930. Oof. Jeff knows his baseball history. He gets I don't have an Ike's to give you, but it was just I got a sip for you. All right, Dan Gladden, top of the order. Wild guesses sometimes work. Gladden struck out his first chance, 2-7, and he will strike. That's the same roll he got to start the game. He rolled a 2-7 to start the game, and he rolls a 2-7 here on his second at bat for his second strikeout. Clemens has gotten 2 strikeouts. He's gotten Gladden both times. That'll bring up Gagne. Gagne he grounded out to Wade Boggs his first time up. 2-8, and that's going to be a single to left field for Gagne. The first single by the Twins that wasn't induced by the ballpark effects. So Gagne will single. Do they want to try to steal is the question. It'd be a 1-13 if he got the good lead. 1-13, but you got Puckett and Herbeck coming up, so I don't think, especially in Fenway Park, I don't think steals are all that prevalent in Fenway Park because you just don't want to blow the chance of having your hitters, particularly your good hitters, hit in Fenway Park. So here's Kirby Puckett. They'll hold him on, but he's not going anywhere. Puckett singled his first chance. 3-9, and this time he flies to center. It is out number 2. And it'll be up to Kent Herbeck. Herbeck walked in his first plate appearance. 5-3, and as a ground ball, I'm sorry, that was first base, 4-3. 5-3 is a fly ball right field X. Well, that's Dwight Evans. You know he's going to get to. He's a 1. And he's only an E2. The only way he makes an error is 3, 16, and 18. If we don't roll 3, 6, 16, or 18, he does not make the error. And easy play there for Dewey Evans, and that will retire the side for the Twins. They get the single from Gagne, but nothing else. We go to the bottom of the third, still zip to zip. And the bottom portion of the Red Sox order is due up. Billy Buckner. Buckner hitting 246 on the replay, 3 homers, 20 driven in. He hit 286 real world. That's a 5-3. It's a fly ball right field X. We're looking at Bernansky. He's a 2E4. 2 and a 5. Devil Die's trying to act up, but I think 2 and a 5 is still going to be okay. 2 and a 5 will be, and that's an 8. And Bernansky is an E4. That should be a problem. No, it's not. So Bernansky will make the catch. And Buckner is retired. Brings up shortstop Spike Owen. Owen is hitting 210 on the replay. 1 homer, 4 driven in. He hit 259 real world. 2-3, and that's a pop-up to short. Gagne is there. And that brings up Gedman, the catcher, number 9 hitter. Let's see here. 140 on the replay. No homers, 5 driven in. He hit 205 real world. 6-5, and that's a fly to left field that Dan Gladden will put away. And that'll do it for the Red Sox in the third. We still got no score after 4, or after 3, rather. Starting at the top of the fourth. And both pitchers have really good fatigue ratings, so if they're effective, we could possibly get a double complete game out of this. Never know. Well, Kathy, we'll find out. Top of the fifth, we'll have that second question and see if it's something that I have a liking to. I like all your trivia questions, but maybe this one I like better than the rest of them. I don't know. Here's Gaetti. That's a 6-10, and that's a fly ball center field X. And that is going to be Burks. He's a 2E5. Oh, the 2 and a 2. Boy, the double die is really acting up. 2 and a 2 is going to drop for a base hit. That's a 13. He's an E5. There is no 13, but it is going to be a base hit for Gary Gaetti. Drops it right in front of Ellis Burks thanks to the double die. Gaetti will be held. He won't go anywhere. And here's Roy Smalley, designated hitter. That's a 1. Roger Clemens' wild pitch chance is a 3. His balk is a 4. Checking for the wild pitch. There is no wild pitch. Viola's wild pitch is a 1. His balk's a 2. Pass ball rating for Gebbins a 12. Pass ball rating for Salas is a 14. All right, here's Smalley. 4-8. And that's going to be a strikeout for Roger Clemens, his third of the game. 1 away for Brunansky. He singled his first trip. 1-9, and that's going to be a base on ball. Second walk issued by Clemens to go with his 3 strikeouts. He's now walked 2 as well. First and second now with only 1 out for Mark Salas, the catcher. Get into a fielder's choice to Wade Boggs his first time up. 4-8, and that's going to be a strikeout. Roger Clemens gets strikeout number 4. 2 down for Steve Lombardozzi in a clutch situation. And Lombardozzi will lose 2 hits on 3-5 and 3-9. Everywhere else he's neutral. But he does lose those 3-5 and 3-9 hits. And it's a 3-11, so he got away with that. As actually a ballpark single check, which is going to be in his favor. That's a base hit. It's only 1-star advancement, though, so it's going to be bases loaded for Dan Gladden. That's the third hit Roger Clemens has given up due to the ballpark. Due to the ballpark, that is his third single he's given up. So 3 of the 5 hits that the Twins have been due to singles. 1 has been due to a devil die. So 4 of the 5 hits Roger Clemens really had no control over. Let me see what you've got here, Dan. I want to read this comment before I go further. Boggs' K rate was 8.7 of at-bats. 11.3, 62 Ks. Yeah, if he ends up with 62 Ks, I'll be okay with that. I just don't want him to end up with 90 strikeouts. If he ends up in the 80s or 90s, then I'll have an issue with it. But I mean, you have to have some bit of standard deviation there. But you know, if he does that, that's fine. But if he comes up with 85 strikeouts at the end of the year, that means there's a problem. In fact, I'm going to put his number at 70. If he gets above 70, if he hits 70, I'm making changes. If he hits 70, I'm making changes for sure. All right, so Dan Gladden, bases loaded, 2 outs. Clutch situation for him. 3-3 is a lost hit. 2-8 is a lost hit. So he's got two hits that he loses in the clutch. That is a 2-10. And that's a 1-9 single. Anything else he lines out, and that's yet another line out. Line out to short, and that is line out number 3 in the ball game. And the Twins will leave them loaded. Missed opportunity there for Minnesota. And against these 2 pitchers, you're not going to get too many opportunities, so you need to take advantage when you can get them. Top of the order for the Red Sox, Ellis Burks. He singled and got caught stealing. Only hit of the game so far for the Red Sox. He singled to lead off and then got caught stealing. 4-4, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-9. That's a 5. That's gone. We don't need the baby wipes for this one, but it is gone. No question about it. 4-4 right here in home run chance 1 to 9. That's a 5, and he has normal power. So Ellis Burks just gets the Red Sox on the board with a solo home run, and finally had nothing to do with Fenway Park. It was just a good hit. And for Burks, that's his 6th home run of the replay, RBI number 13. He hit 20 home runs real world. So 1-0 Red Sox. And here is Marty Barrett. 6-10, and that's a fly to center field X. So we're looking at Puckett. He's a 1. You know he's going to get to it. We're only worried about the E6. And on a center fielder, E6 is 3, 4, 15, and 18. And that's not a problem there. So Puckett will make the catch. 2 down. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 away. And that brings up Wade Boggs. 4-3. Ground ball first base X. We're looking at Herbeck. He's a 2E6. 2E6. 2 and a 9. Should be okay, you would think. 2 and a 9 is a G2, so they get the fielder's choice. But there's already 2 outs, I think. No, there's nobody on base, so it doesn't matter. So 2 and a 9 is a G2. That's a 7, and he is a E6. There is no 7 there, so it's going to be a Herbeck to Viola covering 3-1 ground out, which I do on all X chances. Hello, Colin. Good to see you. Yeah, Jeff, I was thinking heavily about maybe referencing the D20 on the same roll as the strikeout. And if it was like, say, 15 to 20 or maybe 13 to 20 or something like that, then calling it a different kind of out, maybe making it a fly out or something like that, or something that doesn't affect the Hey, Mark, I'm not sure what happened to that, and who knows with the Xfinity doing what they're doing. But hopefully we're not going to have any problems. Last couple of days, it's been pretty clean, so I'm not sure what the glitch was there, but I did not know that. I should probably just take it off. When it crashes out, I don't even worry about it anymore. Just let it go to die. Hello, are you ready? 3-4 for Rice is a ground ball back to Viola, and that's going to end the inning. But the home run from Ellis Burks has finally gotten somebody on the board, and the Red Sox lead it 1-0 after 4 complete. And now if you would turn your attention to the comment section or the chat box, Kathy has our second trivia question of the day. We'll see if we can figure it out. The 1980 Padres had 3 players steal more than 50 bases in a season. Do you know them? Remember, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Huh, okay. All right. For the Padres. In 1980, we're probably talking about Ozzie Smith, Gene Richards, and I want to say Jerry Turner, but that might not be right. But I'm pretty sure Richards and Ozzie Smith are 2 of the 3. So maybe I get a meatloaf thing for that. Wiggins wasn't there in 1980. He didn't come along until about 83. I know because I'm a Padre fan. I was a struggling Padre fan back at that time of the day. So I got 2. I got Ozzie Smith and Gene Richards. Now, who the heck was the third one? It wasn't Jerry Turner. 1980. I'm trying to think who was on the team in 1980. I don't think Winfield stole 30. I mean, he could have, but I just don't picture him as being a stolen base guy for them. He was more of a home run guy for them. But maybe it was Mr. May who was the third one, but I don't think it was. I think it was somebody else, more obscure. All right, so it's another Jerry out there. Who was it? Not Jerry Mumphrey. Was he on the team in 1980? Jerry Mumphrey wasn't on the Padres in 1980, was he? That's the only Jerry that comes to my mind, but I'm not sure if he was on the team in 1980. Oh, it was Jerry Mumphrey. Okay, cool. Jerry Mumphrey, Gene Richards, and Ozzie Smith. Very good question. I did like that, Kathy, because I grew up as a Padre fan. Well, not grew up, but I was in my teenager years when they had Ozzie Smith and Dave Winfield. I was a Padre fan. And of course, when Tony Gwynn came along, that just solidified it. But back then, I really liked those two guys. So thank you for, he had 23 steals. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think he stole 30. I'm not sure if he ever stole 30 in a season. He'd steal once in a while, but he was never really like, a Jose Canseco 30-30 guy or anything like that. All right, Greg Gagne will lead things off for the Twins to start the fifth inning. 2-7 for Gagne, and that's a strikeout, and he's done. And that's a 2-7 has happened to Gladden twice. Now it's going to happen to Gagne, and Gagne will strike out for the fifth strikeout by Mr. Clemens. Yeah, Kathy, if you ask a Padres trivia question, I'm probably going to know it. At least if it's anything from the late 70s to the to early 2000, I'm probably going to know it. So, because I followed him very, very, especially in the 80s, particularly. 80s was kind of like my wheelhouse for them. All right, here's Kirby Puckett. Puckett, 6-8, and that's another strikeout for Clemens. Strikeout number 6. And with 2 outs and the bases clear, it brings up Kent Hrbek. .311 for Hrbek at the ballpark single. And again, at 19, it's going to fit in there. And Roger Clemens has to be frustrated giving up all these singles due to Fenway Park. I'd be curious to get a breakdown on his pitching record at Fenway Park. What his ERA and wins and losses were away from Fenway Park in his career. That would be an interesting thing to look up. I got a feeling Fenway Park cost him quite a bit. Here's Gary Gaetti. Just like Dodger Stadium, if it wasn't for Dodger Stadium, Don Drysdale would have been crap. Let's just call it like it is. 6-3. You can look it up, as Casey Stengel said. He was awful. The only thing that helped him was pitching in Dodger Stadium. His Dodger Stadium numbers are just outlandishly good compared to the rest of his numbers. Ground ball, and I still say this day, Don Drysdale has no business being in the Hall of Fame. None whatsoever. Even his 50-something game inning streak of shutout was tainted because he hit the guy and the umpire changed the call. So I like him as a person. He just doesn't belong. Ground ball pitcher X to Clemens. It's a 3-0, so he can't make an error. So we're just checking his range. And a 14 is just fine, and that will end the inning. But if you stick around, I'll tell you how I really feel about it. And I'm kind of on the border about Sandy Koufax, to be quite honest with you, but whether he belongs or not. Because if you look at his career numbers, they ain't good. He had 5 good years. And the same 5 good years, not just good years, but 5 dominant years. And you know who else had 5 dominant years that's not in the Hall of Fame? A guy named Don Mattingly. He had 5 dominant years. He was the best player in baseball for 5 straight years. But Hall of Fame voter says he doesn't have the career numbers. Yet Sandy Koufax doesn't have the career numbers either, but he's in the Hall of Fame. And he benefited from pitching in Dodger Stadium. Look it up. Look at his numbers. Look at his numbers away from Dodger Stadium. It's I don't know. I just can't go on about it. All right, enough of that. I just Well, Drysdale definitely doesn't. I mean, it took Drysdale like 30 years in the Veterans Committee. He's got bad pictures on somebody to allow him to be in. He has bad pictures on somebody to let him in. So I remember that, Dan. I remember him being on great on that on the what do you call it? I can't think of the name of the show. The Brady Bunch. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. All right, here's Don Baylor. 3-9, and that's a single 1-18. That's a base hit. All I'm saying about Don Mattingly is if you're going to use the argument on Don Mattingly that didn't have enough numbers career-wise to get in, yet he was so dominant for 5 years, and then turn around and say, well, Sandy Koufax doesn't need career numbers because he was so dominant for 5 years, you're talking out both sides of your mouth. I mean, if you're going to put one in, you got to put the other in because they're two peas in a pod. I mean, it's not even close. Hall of Fame's a joke anyway, so I don't even care about the Hall of Fame because it's so much of a joke that it's not even funny. So, all right. So Don Baylor gets the base hit. And something happened on my computer. I got distracted by this Hall of Fame stuff, and now I need to go back and figure out what the heck happened on the computer. Something I forgot to put in, apparently. What did I forgot to put in a home run. How did that happen? I had to go back to Boston's fourth inning and put the home run in. That's what screwed everything. That's where I got a little bit off here. So let's go back and get all this stuff put together while I calm down. It's just frustrating. I mean, you tell me Phil Rizzuto belongs in the Hall of Fame? Really? Maybe for a broadcaster, but certainly not for a player. You tell me he belongs in and Dave Concepcion doesn't? Are you kidding me? All right, here's Ellis Burks. Home run. Barrett flies to center. Grounds out 3-1. Ground out first to third, or pitcher to first. And then Gagne strikes out. Puckett strikes out. Herbeck singles. And Gaddy grounds to first. Or grounds to the pitcher, rather. And then Baylor singles. And now we're up to speed. Okay, got it. Well, Tribe, if they don't let him in, I don't know what to tell you. He should. When you're watching guys play during their career, you can look at the guy and say, that guy's a Hall of Famer. And every time I saw Don Mattingly, he was a Hall of Famer. I never looked at Harold Baines and said he was a Hall of Famer. I still don't know how he got in. It's not like Mattingly, ticked off the baseball people. He was one of the most liked people in baseball, as far as I knew. Here's Dewey Evans, 6'9", and that is a fly to center. I know somehow Sandy Koufax is this hero that you can't talk bad about, but I'll talk bad about him. I don't give a crap. If he doesn't belong, he doesn't belong. Just like Roger Maris. People wanted Roger Maris in the Hall of Fame just because he had 61 home runs one year. No, Roger Maris is not a Hall of Fame player. And he should not be in the Hall of Fame. And if he ever got in, it'd be a joke. 2-5. That is a ground ball third base A. That's going to be a 5-4-3 around the horn double play. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. So if you disagree, that's fine. We can agree to disagree and still be friends. Just have my opinion. That's all. And at least for now in America, you're allowed to have your opinion. That may change some, in the future. Who knows? But for now, we can. Here is Roy Smalley. Well, I agree, Jeffrey. I mean, I don't think anything's sacred. I mean, it's just opinions. I'm going by. I never saw the guy pitch, but I'm looking at the numbers. That's all I can do is look at the numbers. And if you're going to keep Don Mattingly out because he got injured and didn't have enough numbers, then why is Koufax, you use the exact opposite why he should be out, but people have him in. So I don't know. That's like, it's like who, somebody put a comment up here earlier. Who was it? I think Dan. Yeah, Dan. I could care less what the Hall of Fame does because it's a joke. Why wasn't Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame a long time ago? He should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. So should have Joe Jackson. Just because you're banned from baseball doesn't mean you should be banned from the Hall of Fame. That's two separate issues. Banning Pete Rose from baseball was right. He should not be a coach. He should not be anywhere near the game, actively around players. But the Hall of Fame is history, and you're deleting history. So that's what I disagree with. That's why I think those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. 3-9, and that's ground ball to, I'm sorry, 3-9 down here is ground ball to short. And they had lifetime bans. So when they die, the lifetime, so their ban goes away. They're no longer banned from baseball. So why aren't they in the Hall of Fame? They were banned for life, but they're not, they didn't say banned forever. They said banned for life. Well, once you die, that expires. So he should be in, both of those guys should be in the Hall of Fame first ballots. No question about it. 6-12, and that is a split. 1-4 is a single. That's another line out to short. That's line out number 5 in the game. Here's Mark Salas. 3-10, and that is a walk. And especially in today's world, I mean, they put a special on about Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame because they get sponsored by DraftKings. I mean, that's how hypocritical they are. I agree. Are you ready? Baines has no business being in the Hall of Fame. None at all. He should be embarrassed. He should give it back. 6-9, and that's a ground ball to second to end the inning. I like to see the people that voted for him myself. I think the votes should be open ballot. They should have to put their names behind their vote. If you're going to have that responsibility, then you need to have complete transparency and put your name to the vote. All right, bottom of the 6th we go. Spike Owen, and I hate to admit it, but one thing I do agree with RJL about is Keith Hernandez does belong in the Hall of Fame. He was the best fielding first baseman of all time, bar none. And as far as I know, every best fielding position player has made it to the Hall of Fame. Ozzie Smith got there for his fielding. Why the hell is Bill Mazeroski even in the Hall of Fame? I mean, that's ridiculous. Why he's in the Hall of Fame? You know why he's in the Hall of Fame? Because he hit a home run in the 1960 World Series. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. If he doesn't hit a home run, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, he was a good fielder, but Joe Mauer was a pretty good hitter from what I can remember, and he played catcher. That was one of the toughest positions to play. So I have a little bit more leniency on catcher than I do a DH. So I don't really mind Joe Mauer getting it if he's got the numbers for it. I mean, it's a catcher, so that you have to take that in consideration as well. But I do think that Keith Hernandez should be in the Hall of Fame. If I had my druthers, Phil Rizzuto, what's his face from the Dodgers that played, Pee Wee Reese, Bill Mazeroski, and Harold Baines would all be wiped out of the Hall of Fame. Joe Jackson, Pete Rose, Don Mattingly, and Keith Hernandez would be inserted in their place. If I had the wherewithal to be able to make that decision. And the Hall of Fame be a better place for it. 311 ballpark single. That's a 1 to 15. And that's going to be a base hit again. Ballpark single from Fenway. All right. That'll bring up Rich Gedman. They will hold Spike going, but he won't go anywhere. Yes, Phil Rizzuto is in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous. Same with Pee Wee Reese. And Dave Concepcion, that's another one I forgot about. He should be. If you're going to have those two in the Hall of Fame, they couldn't hold Dave Concepcion's jockstrap as far as baseball talent at shortstop. Dave Concepcion revolutionized the art of throwing the ball on a bounce to first base. And he was a good hitter, too. Pretty decent hitter, too. He was no slouch at the plate either, so. 6'4", lefty. Is a ground ball third base X. That's Gaetti. We're going to need to roll the D20 because we need to see if it's a G1 or a G2. That's a 5, but I think the 1 is still going to be okay there. Maybe. Yep, 1 and a 5. He barely gets the G1 done. So it will be a potential double play. That's a 7. And he's 14. No 7. So it will be a round the horn double play, 5-4-3. Literally, well, the Twins did a Red Sox killing, but it's usually called a twin killing. 2 quick outs, pitcher's best friend. And that'll bring up Ellis Burks. And I'm sure Rizzuto got in because of the veterans thing or whatever as well. So good old boy network is what I would call it. There's Burks. He homered for the only run of the game. 1-5. This time he walks him. As Viola didn't want anything to do with that. So Ellis Burks got caught stealing his first time, but he's stubborn. He's going to try again to get that lead. 3, he does not get the lead. So Burks will hold, and here's Marty Barrett. 2-5, and that's a ground ball to short, and that will end the inning. So we got the pitcher's duel I was expecting. 6 innings in the books. It's 1-0, even in a pitcher-friendly park like Fenway. It is a 1-0 ball game. So Roger Clemens back out will face the top of the order, Dan Gladden, who's 0 for 3. And I almost did a video one time just for the heck of it on this whole Hall of Fame subject, because I had a whole spreadsheet of people that I have that should be in and should not be in. It's called Hall of Fame comparisons. And I looked at the numbers and I was like, are you kidding me? It's like, are you kidding me? In fact, I'll pull this up right here and just look at this real quick. We're looking at Pee Wee Reese. We're looking at Phil Rizzuto, and we're looking at Dave Concepcion. Batting average, 269 for Reese, 273 for Rizzuto, 267 for Concepcion. Stolen bases, Concepcion at 321, Rizzuto 232, and Reese 149. Home runs, 126 for Pee Wee. For Pee Wee, 38 for Rizzuto, 101 for Concepcion. Base hits, Concepcion 2,326, Pee Wee Reese 2,170, and Rizzuto 1,588. But here's the kicker: fielding percentage. Concepcion 971 career fielding percentage at shortstop. Pee Wee Reese 968, Phil Rizzuto 962. And so I have on my should not list, I've got Drysdale, Rizzuto, Reese, and Mazeroski. My should be in: Tommy John, Dave Concepcion, Lou Whitaker, and Don Mattingly. That's just what I was doing there as a take there. And if you're going to, and I'll throw this out there, and you might think it's crazy, but if you're going to have Don Drysdale in the Hall of Fame, then Oral Hershiser should be there too, because Oral Hershiser was a far superior pitcher to Don Drysdale. Far superior. You notice what happened when they raised him out in 1969? Don Drysdale got the hell out of the league because he couldn't pitch anymore. He took advantage of that raised mound plus Dodger Stadium, which was probably raised a little higher than the average mound. But once they changed him out in 69, he got the hell out of there, and he retired. That's exactly what happened. Here's Gladden, 4-6. 110 is a double. 12 is going to be a single. Base hit for Dan Gladden. All right, enough. Beat that dead horse to death, I guess. You could have all sorts of arguments and discussions on that, and I'm not here to argue. I'm just putting out my sentiments, and people can agree or disagree, and we can agree to disagree, whatever. So the important part is to be agreeable, not in what we think, but in just in getting along. So it's good to have lively debate as long as it's, at the end of the day, we're all still friends. All right, so Gladden, 4, 5, or 6 to get the lead. He gets the lead. He's going to go. Gladden, 18, being held to 16. 1 to 16, he's gone. And he's in there. Stolen base for Gladden. So the tying run is in scoring position with nobody out. Yes, he did. Are you ready? He did it legitimately, and he did it in a hitter's era in 1988. Just look at the league average in 19, whatever year it was, that I think it was 68 when Drysdale had his streak. But if you look at the league batting average in 68 versus 88 when Hershiser did his, it's night and day. I mean, Hershiser did it around the peak of the juice ball and the hint of possible steroids. Here's Gagne. Gagne is 1 for 3. 1-5, and that is a walk. It's going to put runners at first and second. It was 68. Okay, that's what I thought. So if you want to put Sandy Koufax in the Hall of Fame because he had those 5 dominant years, I'm okay with that. But if you're going to do that, then Mattingly has to go in by the same argument. But I'm not. There's no argument on the planet to where Don Drysdale deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. No way. There's not an argument anybody could possibly make to me that would convince me otherwise. Here's Kirby Puckett. Oh, didn't get through. Let's redo that. Well, there you go, Jeff. That was bad karma right there. 2-8. Ground ball shortstop A. It's going to be a 6-4-3 tailor-made double play. Giovanni's Tailor Shop sponsoring that double play. Gladden will take third, but now there are 2 away. So Clemens gets a big boost there with that double play. 2 quick outs, and it's up to Kent Herbeck. With the bases, with the runner at third and 2 outs, it's a clutch situation for Herbeck. And he does gain a hit on 112. 1-4, and that's a ground ball to short. Or as John Lennon's saying, instant karma, instant bad karma. It's ground ball to short, and that will end the inning. So Clemens pitches around it. How about that? We go to the 7th inning, and that means the 7th inning stretch because I need to refresh my coffee. That is of utmost importance, more so than the Hall of Fame or anything else. I need to do my coffee so we can finish out the rest of this ball game. Viola will be starting his fatigue inning, number 7, so keep an eye on that as well. And he'll be facing Boggs, Rice, and Baylor, the heart of the order for the Red Sox. But as we go to the 7th inning stretch, it is the Red Sox 1 and the Twins nothing. And we will be going to the 7th inning stretch, and I'm going to go heat my coffee. Because that, like I said, is something that has to get done. So I'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right, we are back. I'll tell you somebody else I was thinking about too that, hold on, let me find something here. I just lost something. Okay. Lost my train of thought. Oh, another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's not there because of his personal beliefs, which have nothing to do with his ability to play baseball. And that's Curt Schilling. Curt Schilling, by his pitching record alone, should be in the Hall of Fame. But obviously he ticked people off, but that has nothing to do with his baseball career. The Hall of Fame is not a place of saints. Look at Ty Cobb. He was a racist. And he's in the Hall of Fame. So, just saying. All right, here's Wade Boggs. 5'7", and that's going to be a ground ball second base X. We're looking at Lombardozzi, the 2E18. 2 and a 3. That's trouble. The double die squeaking in again. And that's going to be, 2 and a 3. He'll just get to it. He got a break there. 8, and he is an E18. No 8, so it's good play. Lombardozzi eked that one out and takes care of Boggs. 1 away. Yeah, Ricky Henderson was probably the first person I can remember that talked about himself in the third person. He did it all the time. I'm sure there are other athletes that did that, but he's the one that came to my mind originally. Oh, he was an a-hole. Let's just tell it like it is. He was an a-hole. If he played for your team, you loved it. But if he was on the other team, you hated him. So, but if you were an Oakland fan or a Yankee fan or a Toronto fan or whatever team he played for, and he helped you win games, you liked him. So 5-8 is a strikeout for Viola, and that's not. You know what? That's the second strikeout for Viola. The only strikeout he got otherwise was Boggs in the first. So 7 innings, he's only had 2 strikeouts. Very low strikeout game for him, for sure. Don Baylor. 2-5 for Baylor, and that's a ground ball to short, and that's going to end the inning. So Viola will keep full endurance into the 8th inning, so we could very well have a double complete game here. That would not surprise me one bit. We go to the top of the 8th, still a 1-0 ball game, and this is a fatigue inning for Clemens, so we'll keep an eye on that. 8 is his fatigue inning, and my coffee has been warmed up, so I can get another sip of that. We have Gaetti, Smalley, and Bernansky due up for the Twins. No action in either bullpen. 2-4 is going to be a ballpark single check. It's 1-15. That's a 6. So yet another base hit given up by Clemens via Fenway Park. Gaetti will be held, but won't go anywhere. Smalley or DH. Now we could pinch hit here, and they might pinch hit for somebody that can bunt because they might be playing for this tie and run. So they're going to pinch hit with Roy Smalley with Al Newman. He is an A bunter. Of course, the red flag goes up to Boston that they're going to bunt, but Twins don't care. They'll telegraph that move all day long to get a good bunter out there. So Newman will turn into a B bunter just by default. So he's a B bunter. First we'll roll for Havoc. Nothing going on there. So we go to the bunt chart as a B bunter. See who it goes to. It's going to go to 6, which is the third baseman, Boggs. So Boggs is charging, and he comes up to make the play. 9 or less, it's a good sacrifice. It's a 5, so that's definitely a good sacrifice. So it's going to go 5-4. And going to second base is Gaetti. Newman will temporarily at least stay in the game as a DH. They can always pinch hit for him later if they chose. So let's bring him in on the computer and make this sacrifice bunt. Don't normally like to bunt, but this just seemed like it was a good, the right situation to do it. So that's why it was done. Especially in Fenway Park, sometimes it might be a little bit, feel like you're giving up an out too easily, but you're getting a runner in scoring position too, which makes a big difference in a tight ball game. Here's Bernansky. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. We get a 3-8 for Bernansky, and that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 7 for Mr. Clemens. 2 down. That's the danger of sacrifice bunting, is you're only giving yourself 2 chances to get a base hit now. And now it's up to Mark Salas in the clutch. He loses a hit on 1-5, and everywhere else he's neutral. Salas is 0 for 2 with a walk in this ball game. 5-7, and that's a ground ball, second base X. We're looking at Barrett. He's a 2E11. 2 and a 5, but I think he gets to it anyway. He wasn't holding anybody on. So the pound sign's irrelevant because he was not part of holding anybody on. So G3 is good. That's a 10, and almost exclusively 10s are almost always good. E11 and 10 is no problem at all. Barrett makes the play, and the inning is over. So we go to the bottom of the 8th, still 1-0 in favor of the Red Sox. It'll be Evans, Buckner, and Owen due up for the Red Sox here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Evans has flown to center field twice. 4-5, and this time he's going to get a double, 1-17, and a leadoff double for Dwight Evans. And the Twins bullpen is not very good, to be quite honest with you. So Tom Kelly says, you know what, we're sticking with Viola through thick and thin. Here's Bill Buckner. So 1-3 for Buckner is a split chance. 1-9 is a single. That's a 6. So it's a base hit for Buckner. It's 1 star. And all of a sudden, runners are at the corners with nobody out for Spike Owen. And the infield is going to have to come in for the Twins. Now, here's an interesting situation. He is an A bunter, but with nobody out, would you really risk blowing up the inning with a squeeze bunt? I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that as being a good play. Not when you got nobody out in first and third. Maybe if it's 1 out, you might do it. But with nobody out, I just don't think you do that. So the infield is in for the Twins against Spike Owen. The infield is in. He does have some pluses on his card, so be careful of that. 3-8 against the lefty is a fly ball center field B ? That could be interesting. Evans is a 12, but Puckett's a -4 arm in center field. So if you tried to send him, Evans is a 12, you add 2, makes him a 14, but the -4 there makes it a 10. It would be a 50-50 proposition to score him. And so I think, boy, 50-50 chance. You know what? They're going to send him. They don't, with Gedman coming up, they don't trust that. So they're going to send him. 1-10, he scores. And he's in there. Sacrifice fly is good for Spike Owen. They took a risk and it paid off. Sacrifice fly is good. A big insurance run for the Red Sox. They lead it 2-0. And here comes Rich Gedman. So sometimes you just got to take the chance and hope it works out. This time it happened to work out. A lot of times it doesn't work out. And when it doesn't work out, you'd be second-guessed quite a bit. 3-5 for Gedman. It's ground ball second base A. That's a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play. Giovanni's Tailor Shop sponsoring that double play once again. Red Sox do get the insurance run, though. And they lead it 2-0 as we go to the top of the 9th. So potential for a complete game for Viola in a losing effort. And Roger Clemens looking to seal the deal here in the 9th. We will get a pinch hitter for Lombardozzi. He will not bat. For the Twins, on the pinch hitting side, from the right side, they have Mark Davidson and Tim Laudner, a switch hitter Gene Larkin, and lefty Randy Bush. So let's see who's the better choice here. They're going with Gene Larkin to pinch hit for Lombardozzi. So Larkin, a switch hitter, will pinch hit for Lombardozzi. He has the best average at 266. Gene Larkin. And if it goes to the bottom of the ninth, then they can bring in somebody else to play second base. So they're not worried about that right now. They got to get there to worry about that. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. So we bring in Gene Larkin and see what he's done on the replay to this point. Obviously, Lombardozzi was 1 for 3 in his outing. Larkin is hitting .333 on the replay, 9 out of 27 with a home run, 5 driven in. He had .266 real world. So here we go, Clemens to Larkin. It's a 3-3 for Larkin. That's a pop up to first base, and Bill Buckner will make the play. And if you are a person who thinks, well, we should have left Lombardozzi in, well, 3-3 and an 8 would have been a single, but would we have rolled this had I not gone through the motions of making all those changes on the computer that changed the allocation of what I was doing? That's the butterfly effect that Jeff talks about. So you can't necessarily say, well, he would have done this or he would have done that, because you just don't know. All right, here's Dan Gladden. That's a 3-3 for Gladden, and that's a single to center field for Dan Gladden. So the tying run will come to the plate. They will not steal with Dan Gladden because his run doesn't mean anything. And there's no, the juice is not worth the squeeze on that. So Greg Gagne is your scheduled hitter. You'd like to pinch hit for Gagne, but you've already pinch hit for Lombardozzi, so you're not going to have anybody left to play second and short if it does go to the ninth inning, or to the extra innings. So you're going to need Gagne in there. Plus, he's leading your team in hitting. So he's still hitting .360 on the replay. 1 for 3 in this game with a walk and a single. So they're going to leave him in there. And you got Kirby Puckett on deck to tie and run. 6-7 for Clemens is a ground ball shortstop X. This is a chance for a game-ending double play. Spike Owen is a 3E17. 3E17. That's a 3 and a 2. That's going to get through for a base hit. Wow, what a bad break. What a bad time for the double die to come up. 3 and a 2 was a single with 2 stars, and that's a 7. And he is an E17. I don't think that's a problem. Nope. It's going to be a single, 2 stars. The double die cost Roger Clemens on that one. And now, all of a sudden, the tying runs are on base with the go-ahead run at the plate in the form of Kirby Puckett. Again, Gagne will be held, but will not try to steal because you don't want to get thrown out when you got Puckett and Herbeck coming up. Boston bullpen is silent. They are not I didn't even look into the indifference part, are you ready? Because I don't think it would have been indifferent. They were holding him on. He just wasn't going to try anything. Because I was still holding him on. And you can't get indifference when they're holding him on. So here's Puckett. Infield back for the double play. 5-6. That's a big strikeout for Roger Clemens. Strikeout number 8. And now it's going to come down to Herbeck. Last chance saloon for the Minnesota Twins. It is Herbeck. Herbeck is 1 for 3, a walk and a single in the ball game. That's a 4-12, and that's a ground ball back to Clemens. There's your ball game. Clemens, a complete game shutout, and the Red Sox beat the Twins 2-0. Roger Clemens, a complete game shutout. And we'll get the totals. And we had the pitching duel that I expected. That did not disappoint. Both pitchers did what I thought they would do. Clemens scattered 10 hits. No runs and 10 hits. The Twins left 13 runners on base. The Red Sox left 1. There's your ball game right there. Twins leave 13 on base. Boston leaves 1. But you look at it, 2 left on in the first. 1 left on here, 1 left on here. Bases loaded here. Left on 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 2 here. I mean, that's just a plethora of left on bases that really cost them. Clemens walks 4, strikes out 8. He improves to 5-3. His ERA drops to 4.14. Viola, a very tough luck loss. 8 innings pitched. He's going to drop to 5-3. His ERA will go to 2.45, which is pretty much where it was when he started. 6 hits and 2 runs, a walk and 2 strikeouts. So player of the game is Roger Clemens, no question about it. Complete game shutout, scattering the 10 hits. Boston improves to 19-31. Twins fall to 23-27. How to save an active game. I'm not sure what you're... I know how to save an active game on the computer. But when I have to shut down the computer because of the internet thing, it closes Stratomatic, and my computer was locked. I could not go into the Strat computer and save anything. All right, so we go to the next game in the schedule, which is Thursday morning, of course. So we flip over the score sheet. Have got to put in the ratings. I haven't done the ratings yet, but it is going to be, let me get this straight, Oakland and Baltimore. We haven't seen Baltimore on the channel in a while because they were playing Seattle, and I didn't see any reason showing that pitiful game. But they're playing a contender now in Oakland. So that's what we got. I appreciate it, Mark. I appreciate it. I will put my email in here so in case somebody wants to do anything here. That's my email. Are you ready? Is that in one of your replays, or is that real world that Bonson did that? Remember, we used to call him Bonson Burner. Stan Bonson Burner. But a tough luck loss for the Twins. I mean, they pitched well, but they just ran to a buzzsaw by the name of Roger Clemens. Bad break for them. And you feel like you just wasted a great performance from Frank Viola, who did pitch very, very well, no question about it. But got bested. Oh, it was in real life. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Everybody thinks of 72. I think of Wilbur Wood with all those complete games and everything. I didn't, obviously other starters as well. And obviously Bonson was one of them. So like I said, it's Baltimore and Oakland from Memorial Stadium. That'll be the next game. To be played. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys up for a doubleheader? If I decide to play this game now, are you up for a doubleheader? Or is that too much demos? Is it too much demos at one time? I know I have to be taken in small portions most of the time. All right. Mr. Terranova says give it a go. So, okay. The only thing I have to do is get the cards out and put the ratings into the score sheet and make sure I have the, the right lineup set out before me. So I'm going to turn this a little bit catacorner, so just so I can write easier. So I know it's going to look weird, but that's the way I kind of have to do it this way to be able to do that. So Tony Phillips is a 4E21 at second base, and he runs at a 15. There you see Tony Phillips, a 4E21 running at a 15. Alfredo Griffin is a 2E29. He's a 14. What I usually do is I'll sit down in bed one day and I'll do the whole week at one time. I'll go to the Strat computer, look up the lineups, put the lineups in, but I don't have the cards in front of me. So, and I don't, sometimes the computer ratings are a little bit different than the card ratings for whatever reason. So I don't put the defensive speed ratings in until, I use the computer to get my T ratings for the catcher and the pass ball ratings and the whole ratings and wild pitch ratings and stuff like that. But to put the player ratings in, I usually wait and do it when I actually have the cards out. So 3 minus 2E9 and a 4. So I'll have to change the thumbnail to doubleheader, to say doubleheader. All right, Mark Guire, 3E12. With the lefty McGregor on, that means that Hot Dog Jackson rides the bench in this game. And we're going to Ron Say at DH. Yeah, I don't have these cards in the right order here. Speaking of, that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. There is a phenomenon on there. And if you're into ASMR videos, you've probably seen this guy. But this guy is, I don't know, he's probably making tons of money. Probably tons of money. But it's a guy named Haircut Harry. And people seem to like watching him get haircuts. I don't get it. But I guess it relaxes some people to hear the clipping sound or something. But this guy, he's like a phenomenon on YouTube named Haircut Harry. If you never heard of him before, I saw him one time and I'm like, whoa, this dude's got like 1 million something views of him watching. And he goes all around the country getting haircuts. I don't understand it, but people seem to like it. So go for it. And he seems to be, I'm sure he's doing quite well for himself because of that. Meet some interesting characters on that too, as well. That one place he goes in Minnesota and gets his hair cut a couple times. The guy was like a former, he was a former prisoner. I guess he did some sort of probably, I don't know if it was drugs or some other crime, but he's all tatted up. But then he gets all dressed up. It's in Minnesota. I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head that cuts his hair, but he does the styling. But he's very professional and very, takes his time and everything. But he's just covered in tattoos from his previous transgressions, I guess. But I guess he learned how to do all that stuff in the prison, and that he's taken that to better his life now, which is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, here's Tettleton 3 plus 1 E7, and it's a 10. And then lastly, Polonia 3-0, 9 and a 17. I don't know if there's a way to. I don't think there's any way to do a Stratomatic ASMR video. I just don't know if that would work. I don't know how that would play out. Maybe somebody could pull it off. I don't know. I don't think you get the same effect as you would on the other stuff, but what do I know? All right, so the starting pitcher is Moose Haas. The Moose is loose. Moose Haas. Moose Haas was 2-2 with a 5.75 ERA. Yeah, the dice would kind of ruin it, just like on those haircut ones when they use the clippers. That ruins it for me. I like the snipping sounds, but the clippers is like, to me, is like fingernails on a chalkboard. Whenever I hear the electric clippers, that just doesn't. But some people like that. But it gives me the heebie-jeebies. All right, so let's see here. Mike Young will lead off as the DH for Baltimore. I haven't played Baltimore in so long. Got to remember the players again. Here's Jim Dwyer. He's a 3 plus 1 E1 and a 12. And to do those kind of things, you have to kind of like, I guess they master some sort of a whispering voice or something. I don't know what it is. I guess you have to have a certain talent to be able to do that. But I noticed after I watched part of one of them. The feeds on YouTube keep coming up for those things, so it can be interesting. Ray Knight, 4E23. I guess they're mainly designed for people who have trouble going to sleep. I guess it's supposed to help people get sleepy or something. Or maybe it's just done for straight old relaxation without sleep involved. I have no idea. People benefit from those things for different reasons, I guess. All right, let's see. Your sheets is a 4 plus 1, E8, and a 9. And then, of course, Rick Burleson, 4E18 and an 11. There we go with the Orioles. They are done. Get their bullpen going and their bench and their pitcher, Scott McGregor. So now we can get everything kind of back in place, hopefully. Hopefully I can get this thing back to where we need it. Let me lower this down just a tad. That might help. All right. You put the rest of these guys that aren't involved back in their envelope. So we do have the Oakland A's and the Baltimore Orioles. Tony La Russa's Oakland A's against Cal Ripken Sr.'s Baltimore Orioles. And on the replay so far, Oakland is in first place in the American League West at 27-21. Baltimore struggling at 19-30. Scott McGregor on the I'm going to try this without tape, so hopefully the score sheet won't slide around but so much. McGregor 2-7 with a 6.64 ERA, a really, really terrible season for Scott McGregor. I remember in the early 80s when he was a really good pitcher, but I guess at this point he's kind of at the tail end of his prowess. That's right. Are you ready? They switched over and got youthful and went to pitching and defense. And, Frank Robinson was the manager. It was called the Why Not Orioles, one of my favorite teams to follow. So they were really good. Okay. So what's going to happen by playing this this doubleheader is now I have time to fit in Detroit at Cleveland. I was going to play that offline, but I'll play that tomorrow. Detroit at Cleveland, and then we'll move Kansas City, Milwaukee to Friday. So that's what we'll do. So there you see the starting lineups. Get the game up on the computer so we can get going with this. I've also seen some of those ASMR videos where they're kind of, I guess it's a AI simulation of being in an airplane, flying an airplane, and that white noise that comes from being in an airplane. I guess people enjoy that too. I've seen that before. I've seen lots of different things pop up on my feed where people are doing different things. Some people are reading. Some people are flipping pages in a book. Some people are scraping their, doing some sort of what they call triggers, or something called a trigger, which they do that supposedly triggers people to having stuff or whatever. All right, ceremonial first sip before we start the game. As is my tradition now. Got to have the ceremonial first sip. And Jeff, that's good coffee. All right, so we got McGregor. And like I said, he was 2-7 real world with a 6.64 ERA. In the replays, 2-6 with a 5.74 earned run average. 53 innings pitched, 61 hits, 22 walks, and 29 strikeouts. And for Oakland, Tony Phillips will lead things off. He's hitting 253 on the replay, 3 homers, 19 driven in. He hit 240 in the real season. And we're underway for game 2, 5-7. And it's a ground ball second base X. So that's going to be Burleson at a 4E18. Not very good. 4 and a 4. That's going to get through for a base hit. 4 and a 4. That's going to be a base hit. And that's a 13. He is an E18. There's a 13 right here. The one base error on the E18 is a 13, and that's a 13. So adding insult to injury, it's going to be a base hit plus an error on Burleson. And that's what cost the Orioles a lot and made their pitchers bad, is the bad defense. That's what they really shored up in 1989. Billy Ripken would have made that play, and it'd be one out right now with nobody on. But now McGregor has to get 4 outs this inning, basically. So here is Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop. He's hitting .268, no homers, 11 driven in. He at .263 real world. To 2-4, and that's a pop up to third base where Ray Knight will haul it in. 1 down. And here's Jose Canseco. Canseco hitting .282 on the replay, 11 homers, 32 driven in. He at .257 real world. It's a 5-11. That's a ballpark single check. Memorial Stadium's a 1-6. That's a 19, so it's not exactly Fenway Park. You're not in Fenway Park anymore. You're not in Kansas anymore. That's going to be obviously, with a failed ballpark result, that is going to be a line out to short. And that's our first line out of the game. Didn't even check the previous game to see how many lineouts there were. I'm not going to worry about it at the moment. So clutch situation now for Mark McGwire. In the clutch for McGwire. He is actually rated completely neutral in the clutch against left-handers. So no clutch effect for him. On the replay, he's hitting .275, 12 homers, 31 driven in. He hit .289 real world. It's a 1-8, and that's a ballpark blast for Mark McGwire. It's a 1-14, and that's gone. Mark McGwire, it's not clean as a baby's butt because it's a ballpark home run, but it still counts. 1-8 is the ballpark blast against lefties. Home runs at Memorial Stadium are 1-14, and that's an 11. So that is gone. Mark McGwire, a 2-run home run for McGwire. Both runs are now earned. And McGwire, home run number 13. RBIs 32 and 33. And the A's lead it 2-0. And here is Carney Lansford. Lansford on the replay hitting .272, 6 homers, 29 driven in. He hit .289 real world. 6-7. Ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Cal Ripken. He's a .220. So this should get him out of the inning. 2-9. It's good all day long. E20, and that's a 9. That shouldn't be a problem, you would think. Nope, certainly isn't. Ripken makes the play. But the A's take a 2-0 lead in the top of the first thanks to Mark McGwire's 2-run homer. Go to the bottom of the first, Oakland 2, Baltimore coming to bat. And the Moose is loose. We do have a Moose Haas sighting. 2-2 with a 5.75 ERA in the real season for Moose Haas. In the replays, 0-3 with an ERA of 13.26. 19 innings pitched, 35 hits, 7 walks, 8 strikeouts. So if the Orioles want to batter a pitcher around, this might be the guy to do it against, the Moose. Here's Mike Young. He's hitting .219 on the replay, 1 homer, 2 driven in. Hit .240 real world. 4-10, and switch hitter. That's an in-home run chance, 1-15, and that's gone. Mike Young starts out the ball game with a home run. It's not clean, but it counts. 1-15 is going to be a home run. That's a 6, and he has normal power. So Mike Young leads off the game here in the bottom of the first with a home run to cut the lead to 2-1. And that is home run number 2 for Mike Young, RBI number 3. It just jumped Moose Haas's ERA now to 13.74 on the replay. And here comes Jim Dwyer. Dwyer hitting .263, 6 homers, 12 driven in. He at .274 real world. 1-2, and he's a strikeout plus an injury, so we got a chance that Jim Dwyer is going to have to leave this game. All injuries are game only. All injuries are game only, so it wouldn't be anything extended because I do play as played. But it's a chance he could be injured for the remainder of this game. The only way he stays in is on a 1-4. Anything else, he's got to come out. 14's got to come out. So that's it for Dwyer. He will have to leave. And the Orioles will go to their to their bench, rather, not their bullpen, their bench. And they'll bring in Lee Lacy to play right field. So Lacy will take over in the second inning as a right fielder, Lee Lacy. So this is Lacy now in right field. And Lacy is a 4, a 0, and an E10, running at a 16. So Lee Lacy is your new right fielder, as Jim Dwyer cannot continue. And that'll bring up Cal Ripken. Ripken on the replay hitting 249, 7 homers, 25 driven in. He at 252 real world. It's 2-4, and that's going to be a line out to short. Yet another line out, second line out just in the first inning for out number 2. Here comes Eddie Murray. Eddie, eat, drink, and be Murray. And for Murray on the replay, he's hitting 309, 10 homers, 29 driven in at 277 real world. 3-8 for Murray. He's going to ground it to short, and Griffin will take care of it. But the home run for Mike Young cuts the lead to 2-1 after 1 from Memorial Stadium. So due up is going to be the Penguin, Ron Say. He had 73% of his at-bats against left-handed pitching, which is why he's in there and why Hot Dog Jackson is on the bench. But as soon as Baltimore goes to a righty out of the bullpen, you can bet that Hot Dog will be in that spot. Right now, Say on the replay is hitting 171, 2 homers and 3 driven in. He hit 221 real world. 4-7, and that's a 1-14 single, so that's a base hit for Ron Say. Of course, one of the slower runners in the league will not be held. And here's Mike Davis. He is the lone left-handed bat. Well, actually, he and Polonia, the two lefties, are down at the bottom of the order. Davis hitting 296, 11 homers, 29 driven in. He hit 265 real world. Lefty-lefty matchup. 3-8 is a strikeout. So McGregor gets his first K. 1 down for switch hitting catcher Mickey Tettleton. Tettleton on the replay hitting 229, 7 homers, 17 driven in. Only hit 194 real world. That's a 110, and that is a fly to center. 2 away. Down for Louis Polonia, the other lefty in the lineup. Polonia hitting 270, a homer and 3 driven in. Hit 287 real world. 1 chance for a wild pitch of McGregor. His wild pitch rating's a 7. His balk is a 19. That will be a wild pitch on McGregor. That will move Say up to second base, where he's in scoring position, but it's still going to take a big hit to score him with him running at an 8. So McGregor back out. Facing Polonia, lefty-lefty matchup. That's a 2-2, lefty on lefty. It's a low max, but there were already 2 outs, so there's no double plays involved. But yet another line out, third line out, and we're just in the second inning. And that will do it for the Oakland A's. Nothing to show for it there. We go to the bottom of the second. Still 2-1 Oakland. And Moose Haas back out. Will face Fred Lynn, Ray Knight, and Terry Kennedy of the Orioles. And Fred Lynn on the replay hitting 206, 9 homers, 20 driven in. He hit 253 real world. 6-12, and that's a ballpark blast for Fred Lynn. It's a 1-14, and that's gone. Look at it again. Freddie Lynn, a 6-12 is a ballpark blast. It's 1-14 at Memorial Stadium, and that's a 9. That is gone. Freddie Lynn, home run for Fred Lynn, ties this ball game. For Fred Lynn, home run number 10 on the replay, RBI number 21 He hit 23 home runs real world. That is a home run number 10. Does tie this game. And here's Ray Knight. This is my third cup, so I once this is over, this is gone. I don't do anything more than 3 cups. I can only drink just so much coffee. And if I'm playing this and I'm drinking a lot of coffee, I'm going to take a latrine break, or as Jeffrey calls it, a lavatory break, and I don't really want to do that right now. So I'd like to get this game done first before I do all that. Here's Ray Knight, 1-7 for Knight. Struck him out. I forgot to mention Knight's hitting 247 on the replay. 4 homers, 16 driven in. He hit 256 real world, but here he strikes out. Second strikeout. Actually, 1-7 should be over here. Same result. Either way you go, it's a strikeout. Here's Terry Kennedy, the catcher. He's hitting 229 on the replay, 11 homers, 25 driven in. He hit 250 real. I'm sorry, yeah, 250 real world. 210. It's ground ball right back to Haas. That is out number 2. And that brings up Larry Sheets, the left fielder. Sheets hitting 297, 10 homers, 20 driven in. He hit 316 real world. So 4-11. That's ground ball pitcher X to Moose Haas. Haas is a 3-E-0. So we know he can't make an error. We're checking a 3. And a 3-3 is actually going to be a base hit. It's going to sneak past him. Double die strikes again. If we look at the double die on a 3-3, that is going to be a single. Now, the fact he's E0, I still want to roll this to make sure it's not a rare play. And it's not. Okay. So Sheets gets the base hit past Moose Haas. Keep the inning going. For the number 9 hitter, Rick Burleson, he's been awful to say the least. He's hitting 189 on the replay. No homers, 3 driven in. He hit 209 real world. Moose Haas to Rick Burleson. 110. Ground ball right back to Moose Haas to end the inning. But another solo home run. This one for the batter, Fred Lynn, ties the game at 2 as we go to the top of the third. McGregor back out. He will be facing the top of the order. Go. Phillips singled and scored. Oh, no. We're getting some stuff here. We're getting the fuzzies. With the fuzzies kicking in, maybe hopefully that'll clear up soon. Dan, I'm hoping it will. How is the sound? Is the sound still okay, or is it the sound creaking out too? Last time this happened, it somehow or another it just popped right back in. So hopefully it will do that without any. All right, sounds okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's Xfinity for you. Can I tell you? All right, here's Tony Phillips. 3-11, and that's a strikeout for Phillips. McGregor gets strikeout number 2. One away for Alfred Griffin. Maybe since you can't see it, maybe I should do an ASMR strat video while I'm playing the game. How about that? I can whisper. I can whisper as the game goes on. Would you guys like that? To my inner Bob Ross. He was the first ASMR guy I ever heard of, was Bob painting. People seem to really get mesmerized by that. Here's Griffin. 5-6, and that's going to be a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks from Scott McGregor. Here's Jose Canseco. 4-7, and that is a 1-14 single. That's a 9. It'll drop in for a base hit. And Canseco will try to get the lead, see if he can get a steal, get in the scoring position with 2 outs. He needs a 6. That's the only way he gets the lead. Doesn't get it, so he's got to hold. Here's McGuire. He homered his first time up. 5-3 is a ground ball first base C, so Murray will get it, flip to McGregor covering, and that ends the inning. I've seen Bob Ross's son also has done some YouTube videos where he's picked up his father's passion for painting and his skill for painting. Of course, no one will ever match what Bob Ross did, but his son wasn't bad. Mike Young, he homered his first time up. 5-7, switch hitter batting left is a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Alfredo Griffin, the 2E29. 2E29. 2 and a 10 is a good play. E29 and a 9 shouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think. Nope, it's a good play. But Bob Ross taught me about colors I did not know existed. I thought brown was brown, but then I realized it was a Klondike brown and a cad yellow or some titanium white. I mean, there's all kinds of phthalo blue. I mean, all kinds of unusual colors that I did not know existed. So I learned something from that. All right, here's Lee Lacy. And this is Lacy's first at bat since coming in for the injured Dwyer. And we'll look at the numbers on Lacy. In real world, Lacy 244 hitter, 7 home runs. On the replay, 286 hitter, 3 home runs, 10 driven in. That's a 2-6, and he's going to strike out. So Lee Lacy out on strikes. That is the 3rd strikeout for Haas. Van Dyke Brown, yes. Some weird names for colors. Here's Cal Ripken. 3-9 for Ripken. That's a walk. And hopefully this stream clears up. Still looking fuzzy on my end as well. But I really don't want to restart it. I'd rather keep going and just hope that it clears up on its own. Here's Eddie Murray. 5-7 for Murray is a ground ball shortstop X. That is Griffin. He's a 2E29. They were not holding Ripken on, so he keeps his 2E29. 2 and an 8 should be okay. 2 and an 8 is a G2, and that's a 13, and he's an E29. There is no 13 there, so it's good play. And that will end the inning. So we go to the 4th inning with the score still 2-2 from Baltimore. And coming back out will be Scott McGregor. Both pitchers have a 5 for their fatigue number. McGregor will be facing Lansford, Say, and Davis here in the top half of the 4th inning. So Carney Lansford grounded to short his first time up. 4-2 is a ground ball back to McGregor. Quickly one away. And that brings up the Penguin, Ron Say. 5-6, and that's a strikeout for McGregor. That is his 4th. And that'll bring up the lefty Mike Davis. Right fielder struck out his first chance. 2-5, and that's a ground ball to short. Cal Ripken is all over it, and that will end the inning. So both pitchers, after having a rough start, have settled in. And maybe we get a decent pitching performance out of these guys. We'll see. Moose Haas back out, and he'll be facing Fred Lynn, Knight, and Kennedy. Lynn homered his first time up. That's a 2-9, and that's a home run chance 1-9. That's an 8. It's gone. Fred Lynn with his 2nd home run of the game. I would say look at it again, but it's a little fuzzy, so you probably can't see it. But home run, he got the home run last time on the 2-8 with the ballpark blast. This time, actually it was 4-8 up here on Haas, I think. This time a 2-9, a 1-9 is a homer, 10-20 is a double, but the double dies an 8. So Fred Lynn home run, 2nd home run of the game, his 11th on the replay. Like I said, he had 23 real world home run, RBI number 22. So half of his RBIs are coming off of home runs. He's got 11 homers and 22 runs batted in on the replay now. And the Orioles lead it by the score of 3-2. Here's Ray Knight. 4-4, and that's a walk. Haas will give the free pass to Ray Knight, and that is the second walk issued by Haas. Knight, no threat to run. Here's Terry Kennedy, the catcher. 6-7, and that's a single, 2 stars. Put runners at the corners. Knight, even as slow as he is, made it to third. So runners at the corners, nobody out for Larry Sheets, and Moose Haas could be in trouble here. LaRusso will have to keep tabs on this. Infield is back for the double play. They figure they'll score more runs, so they want to minimize the damage. 6-10, ballpark single check. It's a 1-6, but that's an 11. So I'll keep the fly ball left field C because it doesn't affect the base runners at all. So instead of the line out, I will revert this to the original result on the card, which was a fly ball left field C. If it had been left field B, I wouldn't have done it because that would have been a sac fly, and that would have changed the outcome. So wouldn't have done it that way. Oh, it's cleared up now. Okay, cool. I figured it would be eventually. Here's Burleson. That's a 1. Moose Haas has no wild pitch or 0 wild pitch rating of 5 balks, so that doesn't matter. Burleson is up, and he's a good double play candidate, so they're playing for the double play. 4-2 is a fly ball center field excess Polonia. He's a 3E9. They should at least get a sacrifice fly out of this at a bare minimum. 3-6, it might actually drop. We'll see. 3-6. It does drop. Single 2 stars for Rick Burleson. That's a 13, and he's an E9. There's a 14 there, but no 13. So it's a single 2 stars, RBI single from Burleson. Ray Knight scores to make it 4-2. Kennedy will take third. And now the bullpen is active. If you let a guy like Rick Burleson get a RBI single off you, you know you're going downhill fast. So bullpen activity for the Oakland A's. They do have Steve Ontiveros, a right-hander, loosing in the pen. They would like to get Moose Haas through this inning, though, and start Ontiveros with a clean inning. Here's Mike Young. Infield still looking for that double play. 5-8, and that is a line out to short. Another line out. That is line out number 4 in the game. In just the 4th inning. Hello, Bruce. Good to see you. I don't know if I've seen you before in the chat, but welcome aboard. If I have seen you before, pardon me, because I'm getting older and my memory is not as great as it used to be. All right, so now we got Lee Lacy in a clutch situation. And if you worry about the thumbnail, I was originally doing just Minnesota and Boston, but then off the cuff decided to go ahead and do a doubleheader, so I'll change the thumbnail later. Lee Lacy struck out his first time up. 1 chance of a wild pitch, but again, he's got a 0 wild pitch rating. Clutch situation for Lacy, and he gained some hits here, 1-5 and 1-10. He will get extra hits. Gets a 3-8, though, and he strikes out, and that's going to end the inning. That's going to be it for Moose Haas. They're going to cap Moose Haas at 4 innings. He's going to give up 3 runs, all earned. 2 of them off of – actually, it's going to give up 4 runs. What am I talking about? 3 runs. Give up 4 runs. 4 runs all earned. 6 hits. He struck out 4 and walked 2. And he's on the short end of a 4-2 ball game. A's took a 2-0 lead in the first on the home run from McGuire, but since then it's been downhill for him. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, you get to see the rare. I don't usually play many doubleheaders. It's not usually playing that way, but so anyway, Steve Ontiveros will be the new pitcher for Oakland coming in the next inning. And he can certainly give them some innings if he's effective. He's a -1 hold, which makes him a 0. So we start the top of the 5th. It'll be Tettleton, Polonia. Tettleton, Polonia, and Phillips. And this is the fatigue inning for McGregor, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. 4-6, switch hitter batting right, is a walk. So base on balls. That's the first walk issued by McGregor. And that'll bring up Luis Polonia, center fielder. .311, lefty is a ballpark single check. It's 1-6. That's a 15. So yet another line out. This one to second. So I believe that is now a grand total of 5 lineouts here in the 5th inning. So we're on pace to get 9 lineouts. Here is Tony Phillips. .310 for Phillips. That's a single 1-star. So only a 1-star single. So Tettleton will just make second base. First and second, 1 out for Alfredo Griffin. Tying runs are now on base. And McGregor's 1 batter away from being fatigued. 6-12. Ground ball pitcher B. There is a dot there, but he's not fatigued yet. So that's going to be a good play. So it's going to go 1-4 on the fielder's choice. Tettleton will take third, but they get Phillips out at second base, 1-4. If you're scoring at home, you know you should be. So now it's 2 outs and runners on the corners. Clutch situation for Jose Canseco. And Canseco on a 110 will get an extra hit. Everywhere else he is neutral. McGregor has to get this out in order to, or get through this inning in order to qualify for the win. That's a 2. So McGregor on his balk rating, he's a 19 balk rating. This is most likely going to be a run. And it is. So he will balk in a run. And that will score Tettleton from third via the balk. Makes it a 4-3 game. Moves Griffin to second base, so we're still in a clutch situation for Canseco. 4-12, and that's a fly to center, and that's going to end the inning. And that may or may not do it for McGregor. We'll see if he comes. He's got a little bit of endurance remaining, but it's questionable whether he comes back or not. They may go to the bullpen. But he did get Canseco out, which was huge. And we go to the bottom of the 5th with a score 4-3, and the new Oakland pitcher will be Steve Ontiveros. He kind of went back and forth between starting and relieving. In this part of the season, he is a relief pitcher. Real world, he was 10-8 with an ERA of an even 4. On the replay, he's 0-3 with a 6.55 earned run average. So he'll see if he can hold the fort and keep the score close to where it is. Here's Ripken. .68, and that's a single 1-10. That's a 17. Yet another line out. Line out number 6 in the game. Boy, these lineouts sure are. And I took one of the lineouts away. It could have been 7, but I changed it to a fly out. So definitely it could have been another line out there. I just changed it. Here's Murray, 6'9", and that's a 1-10 single. That's a 14. Yet another line out. Line out to second. Boy, the lineouts are just piling up here in this game. Here's Fred Lynn. He's homered twice, but that was against Haas. This is his first chance against Freddie Lynn. 2-6, and that's a ground ball to first. McGuire makes the play to end the inning. So we go to the 6th. Ontiveros, a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the top of the 6th with the score still 4-3 in favor of the Birds. McGregor will come back. He was on a short leash. Look at the Oriole bullpen and see who the most available person is. Look at the Orioles bullpen. Looks like the guy with the most rest that is able to pitch is going to be Dave Schmidt. So Dave John Jingleheimer Schmidt, or however that song goes, is in the bullpen. In fact, they're going to pull McGregor right now and go to Schmidt. They don't want to mess around. With these righties coming up, they're not messing around. They're going straight to Schmidt. And +3 are hold with a 0, makes him a +3. And we'll get the numbers on Schmidt on the replay. First of all, in real world, he was 10-5 with a 377 earned run average. On the replays, 1-1 with a 429 earned run average. McGregor went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. He walked 2, and he struck out 4. And now Dave Schmidt, facing Mark McGwire. Bruce, this is a modified strat score sheet that I got from Spokane Steve. If you would like, I'd be more than happy to email you a PDF copy of it. It is 2-sided. But if you would, I've emailed it to several people. If you would like a copy, I'd be more than happy to email it to you after the game is over. Here's Mark McGwire. 1-6. And there you go, Jeffrey. Clean as a baby's ass. Got to get out the baby wipes. 1-6 from McGwire. It is clean. Clean as a baby's ass home run for Mark McGwire, his second of the game, 14th on the season. And there was a no-doubter right in there, and we have a tie ball game. So a no decision for Scott McGregor as McGwire took care of that. Here's Carney Lansford. (1-9) for Lansford's a ground ball to short. Ripken makes the play. 1 away for Ron Say, but he will leave the ball game, and we're going to get Hot Dog Jackson coming in to pinch hit, and he'll stay in the game as the DH. So Hot Dog Jackson takes over for Ron Say. Hot Dog Jackson. So Jackson to DH in the 6th inning. Pinch hits in the 6th and stays in the game to DH. And we'll get the numbers on Hot Dog. Low average, but he does have some power results, which have helped the A's in quite a bit. So in the real season, Hot Dog Jackson hit .220 with 15 homers and 43 driven in. On the replays, hitting .213, 11 homers and 26 driven in. So Hot Dog Jackson stands in against Mr. Schmidt. 3-7 for Hot Dog, and he struck him out. So Schmidt put a little mustard on that one and blew it by the Hot Dog. And here's Mike Davis. Hey, Max. Good to see you. 6-6 lefties, a fly to right. And that's going to end the inning. But we are now tied at 4 apiece, thanks to Mark McGwire's second home run of the game. And now it's a bullpen game. It's all up to Schmidt and Ontiveros. They are the pitchers of record right now, as both starters are now off the hook. Bottom of the 6th we go. 4-4 ball game. Here's Ray Knight. 2-3 for Knight. He gets plunked, hit by the pitch. Ray Knight hit by the pitch. He will not be held, obviously. No threat to run. Here's Terry Kennedy. 2-8 for Kennedy is a ground ball first base A. That is a 3-6-3 double play. Turned nicely by McGwire and Griffin. 3-6-3 double play on the slow running Terry Kennedy. Pitcher's best friend. 2 quick outs and it's your batter. That's a 2-2, and he gets hit by a pitch. Wow, back-to-back hit by pitches. Umpires have issued a warning. They're not gonna. They don't want any more of those shenanigans. Here's Burleson. Can't pinch hit for Burleson yet because we're not in the 7th inning. Four nine. 1's a triple, 2 to 20's a single. So Burleson catches another break off the pitcher's card and gets himself a single. Puts runners on the corners with 2 outs. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. Runners are on the corners, and it's up to Mike Young in the clutch. And Young loses a hit on 112, and he also loses hits on 3-9 and 3-10. So 3 anti-clutch performances on his card. 2-5, however, is a ground ball to short, and Griffin will take care of it to end the inning. So a lot of activity on the bases, but nothing to show for it. Ontiveros escapes. We go to the 7th, still tied at 4 apiece. Schmidt back out. He'll be facing Tettleton, Polonia, and Phillips for the Oakland A's. Tettleton is 0 for 1 with a walk. 4-10. Ground ball third base X. We're looking at Knight. He's a 4E23. 4-11. At least he'll get to it. 4-11. It's a G3. That's a 14, and he is an E23. E23, there's an 11, 13, and 15 here, but no 14. So Ray Knight will make the play successfully. 1 away. Here's Polonia. .27, and that's a 1 to 13 single. That's a 10. It's base hit. Ballparks, or not a ballpark single, but a regular single for Polonia. And he'll be looking to run. Schmidt has a +3 hold. Kennedy's a 0, so it is a +3. So if he gets the lead, it's pretty much automatic steal. Needs a 4, 5, or 6. Does not get it, so he will hold. There's Tony Phillips. 1-8 for Phillips is a walk. And now back come the A's trying to take the lead. 2 on and only 1 out for Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop, who is 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Is Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo Griffin, I might add. 4-5 switch hitter, and that's trouble. Schmidt's a 1 to 6 triple. 7 to 20 is a double. That's a 10. It's a double to center field for Griffin. That will score Polonia for sure. Phillips, as a trail runner, was not being held, makes him a 16. Fred Lynn's a 0 arm. 1 to 16. If they throw through, Griffin could take third. So, boy, what do you do here? I think they're going to, man, the odds just aren't there. So they're going to let it, they're going to cut the throw. Keep Griffin at second base with 1 out so you don't have to bring the infield in. Otherwise, you'd be bringing the infield in. So it's a 2-run double off the bat of Alfredo Griffin. And the A's lead it 6-4. And here comes Canseco. For 8, and that's a strikeout for Schmidt. Big strikeout there to get Canseco. Now here's McGuire. He's homered twice. First base is open if they want to go that route, but Lancer's a pretty good hitter, and a single hurts you just as much as a home run in this situation. So they're going to go ahead and pitch to him. McGuire is 2 for 3 with 2 home runs. 4-5, and this one is a 1 to 3 triple. 4 to 20 is a single. It's a single 2 stars, and that will score the run. So it didn't matter who he faced. In that situation, either batter would have gotten the base hit. So Schmidt has now given up 3 runs in his second inning of work. And the Oakland A's have now grabbed a 7-4 lead on the Orioles. And that'll bring up Carney Lansford. McGuire at first, not being held. Lansford. 4-3, and that's a fly ball left field X. We're looking at sheets. He's a 4-E8. 4-15, he'll get to that. So that won't hurt him any. 4-15 is an F2. That's an 8, and he is an 8. E8, and there's no 8 there, so Sheets makes the play to end the inning, but 3 runs come in for the Oakland A's, and they take a 7-4 lead. And that may be all for Mr. Schmidt. In fact, I think it is. He's going to go 2 innings. He's going to give up 4 hits and 3 runs, all of which were earned. And he strikes out 2, and walks 1. And they'll bring in a new pitcher for the top of the 8th. Since we're in game 2, I'm not going to take another 7th inning stretch break. We're just going to keep pushing along. Ontiveros of work. This is his fatigue inning, number 3. He'll be facing Lacey, Ripken, and Murray. 1-3 for Lacey. 1-13 is a triple. That's an 18, so it's a solid single for Lee Lacey. Lacey's aboard. He will not be held. Here's Cal Ripken. Ripken is 0 and 2 lineouts to short. 6-2, and that's a fly to center field with Polonia hauling it in. 1 away. For Eddie Murray, he's 0 for 3. .310 for Murray, and that's a walk. Not what you want to do when you're up by 3 runs and start walking people and putting base runners on. Now the tying run is at the plate, and Freddie Lennon, he's already had 2 home runs. So Ontiveros has to be careful here. 2 is a chance for a balk or pass ball. See what Ontiveros' balk rating is. His balk rating is a 3. So we'll see, we're checking balk or pass ball. Yep, he's a 3. So balk is a 3. And no balk. Get by that. Downey issue. Here's Freddie Lynn. 6-6, and that's a strikeout for Steve Ontiveros. Big strikeout there, and now it's 2 outs and 2 on for Ray Knight. Ray Knight is your batter. Five, 6, and he lines it to second base to end the inning. Yet another line out, by the way. Yet another line out, like we needed that. But that's just the way it works. We go to the top of the 8th. Still 7-4. And we need a new pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. Let's see who they go to. They are going to... They're going to go to... Who do you go to here? They're going to go to Jack O'Connor, their lefty. So Jack O'Connor is in the game. He's a -1 hold. And he'll force Hot Dog Jackson to face a lefty. Plus Mike Davis, another lefty behind him. Switch hitter Telton, another lefty. So that's why he's in the game. Jack O'Connor. See what he's done on the replay and real world. Real world, Jack O'Connor, 1-1 with a 4.30 ERA. On the replay, he is 0-0 with a 2.25 ERA. 16 innings pitched, 13 hits, 5 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So Connor facing Hot Dog Jackson. That's a 3-7 for Hot Dog, and he strikes out again. So Jackson is 0 for 2 with 2 Ks since coming into the game as the new designated hitter. And that'll bring up Mike Davis. 3-8, and that's a strikeout. So Connor, back-to-back strikeouts against the left-handed hitters. Now we got a switch hitter, Mickey Tettleton. 6-11 for O'Connor against the right-handed hitting Tettleton. Ground ball first base X. That's Eddie Murray. He's a 2E10. 2E10. 2 and a 15 is good. E10 and a 14. There's a 15 there, but no 14. So Murray will field it. Flip to O'Connor covering to end the inning. So we go to the bottom of the eighth, still 7-4 in favor of the Oakland A's. Ontiveros back out, but he's on a short leash. He'll be facing Kennedy, Sheets, and a pinch hitter for Burleson. And Jeff says he has a trivia top of the ninth, so be Orioles on the bench to pinch hit for Burleson coming up. We could use Wiggins. We could use Gerhardt. The other two guys are not very good, Van Gorder and Gonzalez. Although Gonzalez is 267, so they might pinch hit for him with him. But we'll see what dictates the situation. What kind of, do they need a power bat or an average bat or whatever? Here's Terry Kennedy against Ontiveros. That's a 4-7. Ground ball second base X. Phillips is a 4E21. Whoa, we got hop and dice. We're going to re-roll that. 4E21. 4 and 18, he's good. E21 and a 14 for a second baseman. E21, there's a 13, but no 14, so Tony Phillips makes the play. And there's one away. That'll send up Larry Sheets. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. 4-9. 1-12 is a double. That's going to be a double for Larry Sheets. And now we get the pinch hitter to come in for Burleson. And that pinch hitter is going to be Rene Gonzalez. Don't walk away, Rene. He at 267 real world. So Rene Gonzalez, and he'll stay in the game to play second base. So he pinch hits in the eighth and plays second base in the ninth. So we'll go to the bench and get the numbers on Gonzalez. Burleson was 2 for 3, but they were both off the pitcher's cards, and you can't bank on that. So they're going to play the odds and go with a higher average guy of Rene Gonzalez. On the replay, Gonzalez is hitting 320 in 25 at bats, no homers and a run driven in. So it's Ontiveros 2 with a chance of a balk or a pass ball again. We're looking at the balk rating again on Ontiveros, and so check his balk rating. It is a 3. No balk. So they get around that issue and pitch to Gonzalez. 5-11, fly ball right field X. We're looking at Mike Davis. 3E16. 3 and a 5, that's iffy. 3 and a 5 is actually going to be a single 2 stars, and that will score Sheets from second base. So we have an RBI single, RBI pinch hit single from Rene Gonzalez. Checking for an error. He's an E16, and that is a 15. E16, there is no 15. So he's able to not make an error, but the single will get the Orioles 1 run closer. And Ontiveros is now tired, so the Oakland A's looking to go to their bullpen. Probably looking for their closer at this point, Jay Howell, and that's where they will go. Jay Howell will be coming on, try to close the deal, and get a 5-out save, which in 1987 was definitely not anything unusual. Do that now, and people have a conniption fit. In real season, 3-4 with a 589 earned run average and 16 saves. On the replay, 1-1 with a 3.72 ERA and 8 saves. So Howell trying to obtain save number 9. Not dream number 9, but save number 9. Although maybe dreaming of a save. I don't know. So Howell will be facing Bruce. Yes, he just got fatigued. So that's why I took him out. So Howell facing Young. It's a 1-8 for Young, and he walks him. Not a good start for Howell. First and second now with 1 out for Lee Lacy. Oh, Joe, I did not know that. He was one of my favorite when I was a miserable Padre fan back in the 70s. He was definitely one of my favorites to watch, especially that 76 season he had. He just frustrated everybody that year. Here's Lacy. 3-7 for Lacy, and that is a strikeout. So a big strikeout there for Howell, out number 2. And it's up to Cal Ripken in the clutch. If the Orioles want to tie this game, he is the tying run at the plate in Cal Ripken. In the clutch, he gains a hit on 3-3 and on 2-10, so he gains a couple of hits. (4-9), and that's a double 1-17. That's a 10. It'll be a double, but it's 2-star double. So 2-star double means Young has to hold at third base. The run scores in the pinch hitter Gonzalez. That run is charged to Ontiveros, though. Score is now 7-6 with the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position for Eddie Murray, and they will not pitch to Murray. They will walk Murray intentionally and pitch to Fred Lynn. I know he's hit 2 home runs, but odds say you don't. The odds say you don't. Let me change. I put it as a walk, and I need to put it as an intentional walk. So let me fix that. Good thing for the undo button. It's an intentional walk. That's going to load the bases. Bases are loaded for Fred Lynn. Howell going to try to get out of this. Freddie Lynn. 4-11, and that's a fly ball left field X. We are looking at Canseco. He's a 3-9. Big play for Canseco to make it. And that's a 1. What a time for the double die to show up. Canseco gets screwed on the double die. So a 3 and a 1 is going to be a single. Actually, a 3 and a 1 is going to be a base clearing double. A base clearing double for Fred Lynn. All 3 runs will score because of that. Unbelievable that the double die would do that. Canseco's an E9, and that's a 6. Nothing there, but a unbelievable base clearing double from Fred Lynn because of the double die being a 1. Unbelievable. Orioles now lead at 9. Fior is now loosening the Oriole bullpen. Jay Howe has blown another save. And in fact, in line to take the loss now. 4-9, and that's going to be more trouble. 1-17 is a double, and that's a double for Fred Lynn. Orioles are now batted around. Another run is in. And it is now 10-7. 6 runs in the inning, a 6-pack of runs. A 6-pack of runs, and we extend the 8th inning into the next column for Terry Kennedy, who led off the inning by grounding out to second base. So he got a chance to make 2 outs in the same inning. 4-6. The strikeout, there's a dot there, but the computer's telling me he's not tired, so that's what I'm going by. A lot of stuff, his fatigue is a 2, so I'm going to keep the strikeout because that's what the Strat computer is telling. So we'll go with the. And now we need to put Rene Gonzalez in at second base. Tom Niedenfuhr, who they obtained from the Dodgers recently as their new closer. Niedenfuhr will be coming on to pitch. O'Connor has the distinction of being the benefactor of those runs, so he would get the win if Mr. Niedenfuhr can hold it. So Niedenfuhr will be coming on for the Orioles. And we'll get the numbers on Niedenfuhr. In the real season, he was 3-5 with a .499 earned run average. And saves. That's combined with the Dodgers, though. I think these numbers are shown on the computer. They're showing combined numbers with the Dodgers. So I don't know what he's done strictly with the Orioles, but on the replay in 5 innings, he's given up 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He's 0-0 with no saves and the .386 ERA. So chance for his first save of the season. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't even get to your trivia question yet. Oh, I put a 0 there when it's 6. I was trying to clean everything else up. So let me look at the trivia question here real quick. Name 2 catchers who played for the Cardinals during the '64 championship season, I should say. All right, so Joe Horling gets it with McCarver and Bob Uecker. How about that? 2 characters there for sure. Thank you for that, Jeff. All right, so Niedenfuhr is on to try to save it. And before I go to the top of the 9th, let's clean up the Oakland pitching staff and their line score. Go to the box score for that because I don't feel like doing the math. Ontiveros goes 3 1/3 innings. He is going to give up 4 hits and 2 runs. And he ends up walking 1, striking out 1. Howell goes 2/3 of an inning. Gives up 3 hits and 4 runs. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. All right, so here's Niedenfuhr facing Luis Polonius. Polonia, Phillips, and Griffin due up for the A's here in the 9th. That's a 5-5. Left-handed, struck him out. So Niedenfuhr starts out strong with a strikeout. Keeps the lead runner off base so far. Trying to protect a 3-run lead. Here's Tony Phillips. 10-7 Orioles. Top of the 9th. 4-8. And that's a single for Tony Phillips. So don't count the A's out just yet. Phillips will be held, but he won't go anywhere. And here's Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop. He doubled his last time up. 3-7 for Griffin is a split chance. 1-2 is a single. That's a 10. So yet another line out. Or out number 2. And here's Canseco. He allowed that base clearing double by not being able to get to the ball because he was screwed over by the 1 on the double die. So here's Canseco. If he reaches, McGuire comes up as the tying run. But Canseco has to reach first. 5-11 against Niedenfuhr. It's a ballpark single check. It's 1-6, but that's an 11. Yet another line out, and that ends the ball game. So Tom Niedenfuhr hangs on, and the Orioles win it by the score of 10-7. Niedenfuhr 1 inning pitched, a hit, and a strikeout, nothing else. And we'll get the totals on the ball game. A's let one get away for sure. No question about that. So 10 runs, 13 hits, and an error for the Orioles. 7 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for Oakland. Winning pitcher is is Jack O'Connor. He's 1-0. The save goes to Niedenfuhr, his first as an Oriole. Jay Howell will take the loss. He is now 1-2 and has blown his first save. Player of the game for the Orioles, unquestionably Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn is your man. Not only did he hit 2 solo home runs, but he hit the base clearing double in the bottom of the 8th to give him 5 runs batted in on the game. So your player of the game is Mr. Fred Lynn. Take a bow, Mr. Lynn. 2 home runs and a double, 5 runs batted in, 3 runs scored. And poor Jay Howell, now his ERA has skyrocketed to 5.40. He's really been struggling in that bullpen capacity. Honorable mention for player of the game in a losing cause was Mark McGwire. He was 3 for 4 with 2 home runs, and 4 runs batted in rather. But he was outdone by Freddie Lynn. So, Bruce, that was given up by Tom Niedenfuhr. I believe Ozzie Smith did that. In fact, Are You Ready just mentioned that as well. But that's the one where I think Jack Buck used the "Go Crazy" catchphrase. I think that's where that came from, was off that home run. Go crazy, folks, go crazy. So a 6-pack in the 8th inning did it for the Orioles. And this doubleheader is in the books. Now, what that does for the Oakland A's with that loss in their standings, Kansas City is now only a game and a half back. And Kansas City on Friday will play Milwaukee with a chance to cut it to 1 game. And right now, Milwaukee leads Toronto and New York by half a game. So if Kansas City beats Milwaukee, it'll make a 3-way tie in the American League East, and it'll draw Kansas City to within 1 game of the Oakland A's. So lots of stuff could be happening there. We'll have to wait and see. The game tomorrow will be Detroit at Cleveland. I don't have a score sheet ready for it yet. That was the first game of the doubleheader, Minnesota and Boston. I actually forgot to fill in the line score there. I'll do that later. But I guess I can do it now. No runs, 10 hits. 2 runs, 6 hits. And were there any errors? I don't think there were any errors in the game for either side. So the first game, double complete games. Clemens against Viola, 2-0 Red Sox, as Clemens scattered 10 hits. Second game, a lot more offense, 10-7. Orioles with a 6-pack in the bottom of the 8th, capped off by a base-clearing double by Fred Lynn. Wins it for them. And we go to tomorrow's game, Detroit at Cleveland, from the mistake by the lake in Cleveland. And the pitching matchup for that game is going to be Dan Petrie for the Tigers against Phil Niekro for the Tribe. And then on Friday, it's Charlie Leibrandt and the Kansas City Royals against Bill Wegman and the Milwaukee Brewers. Then on Saturday, what did the White Sox do? The White Sox, they played Texas. I played that offline. I played that one offline. So let me go back and remember what happened on that. Go back to their score here. Their box score up, I should say. Daily log. There we go. That was Texas defeating the White Sox by the score of 5-2. Malloy got the win for Texas. Rich Dotson took his first loss of the season, and Dale Mahorsic picked up the save. So Chicago lost to Texas, which dropped them back into a second-place tie with Kansas City. They're both a game and a half back, both at 24 and 22. So anyway, that's going to do it from here. It's noon. I didn't realize it was that late. Boy, kind of probably bit off more than I can chew with this doubleheader stuff, but just had the hankering to do it and decided I would do it. So tomorrow morning, we will have, roughly at 9 o'clock, we will have Detroit at Cleveland. And then Friday morning, we will have Kansas City at Milwaukee. Saturday around noonish, maybe I'll probably bump it up to about 11 o'clock maybe. We'll have the National League game, the Pirates and the Braves. So that's going to do it from here. I will change the thumbnail to reflect a doubleheader. So, and update the title and all that stuff. So I do appreciate everybody sticking with me through this doubleheader. Hope you all enjoyed the 2-ball games. As Ernie Banks said, let's play 2. That's what we did. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.